Okay, why am I called the ugly golfer? Well, because I am. So I've been golfing for about 40 years, and you'd say, well, you'd think 40 years, why, you should be a scratch golfer. Well, I'm not. So how does that happen? Well, let's see, I've watched about every video that's been made since the beginning of time of the internet. You know, I paid for lessons once or twice and went, okay, yeah, that worked for about 10 minutes. Let's see. So, you know, I played a lot of golf. Yeah, that didn't help much either. I mean, it kind of does. Now, recently, since I've got closer to retirement, I've decided, okay, well, let's make this a serious kind of thing. Okay. So, a couple of years ago, I went out and I did a thing with some guys. You know, one of those scramble type doohickeys things that you play for work and that kind of thing. And that kind of was. It was a work thing, but it was for charity. Oh, yeah, I got my golf club here. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it was for charity and stuff like that. So we had a great time. We were having a lot of fun. My job, once we got out there, was, you know, because I was the oldest of the group, and I was playing with older clubs, of course, you know, and we'll talk about older clubs in a little bit too, but you know, there's actually a story behind that. We'll get into it. But now, what had happened is my job was to put it down the middle, okay? Because I'm not the long hitter. I'm a hitter, okay? I can get it down most of the time into the middle of the fairway fairly well. Problem is, I'm not very deep. So my job was to put it down the middle, get us in position, and then everybody else would come in behind me and do, you know, take their long shots, you know, because they were younger, they had better equipment, et cetera, and they'd just go for it. And so we did pretty good. You know, we didn't even get close to winning because, of course, there's always, you know, that one group that's always out there, the one that, you know, there's a foursome of scratch golfers, and then there's the rest of us that shoot someplace between, you know, 10 and 12 under, somewhere in there. We were at 12 under, which is pretty normal for a lot of the groups. What I was supposed to do was to get it down the middle, they'd go for it, and then we'd go from there. Well, my next job, of course, was to green it. You know, just like everybody, let's get down there, let's put it on the green, let's get as close as we can. But yeah, we very seldom used my ball in the middle. We always took one of the deeper ones that was, you know, kind of off, which was like, okay, I don't have a problem with that. As long as I'm doing my job, we're going to be okay. Once or twice we had to go back because they were all putting them in the woods or something like that because it was a wooded course. Fairly narrow. It wasn't too narrow, but it was narrow enough to where a bad drive would get you in trouble. So anyway, once that was happening, everything was okay. So we were trying to we were sitting around eating dinner afterwards, and the guy said, what are you doing with those old clubs? Why don't you get updated? I don't know, these are brand new. I just bought them at Goodwill, one of my favorite places to buy golf clubs, because I can get a good club for, you know, $5-6, you know. And be honest with you, for the most part, my driver, my 3-wood, my woods, I should say, not just my 3-wood. I only carried a 3-wood. I didn't do much with the other ones. And my 1-iron came from Goodwill. Everything else I'd picked up along the way, which, by the way, I still use. My irons are old man irons, but my driver, which is why I brought this here, I just upgraded this last year. Oh yeah, and I bought it used. So, because I don't like to spend a lot of money on a club on chasing a ball, because I'm not that good at it. Okay, I can hit like crazy all I want. It really isn't going to matter, because I'm either going to screw up my drive, I'm going to screw up my approach shot, I'm going to 3-putt or something goofy like that. Now, chipping, on the other hand, is pretty much where I shine. You know, I actually go up there and say, I'm going to speed this thing. So, I actually don't speed it, but I get pretty close and can tap it in usually from there if I'm you know, near you know, the green when I get up there. So I do chip pretty good. But anyway, and during that scramble, I did not chip well at all. And I'll tell you why, because it was a public course, and to be honest with you, it was not well groomed. It was very hard. We had a very dry summer that year, and no grass. It was, you know, your fairways were worse than your greens as far as the grass depth, because there wasn't any. It was playing a hard piece of dirt with some fluffy grass, or not fluffy grass, but those little clustery patch things there. That's what we were hitting off of. So trying to chip was pretty difficult. But you know, because you have to play it a lot different than what you would normally try to hit it. You know, one of the guys was actually trying to be a pro golfer, and not so much a pro golfer, but he wanted to get into college on a scholarship as a golfer. So he spent a lot of time golfing, a lot of money golfing. He was partnered with me. We had a lot of fun talking about, you know, what he was doing, what he was trying to do, etc. But you know, he was having the same problem with his chipping, because he was trying to, you know, lay the club head flat and get underneath it, get it in the air, you know, spin it and drop it onto the green and have it roll into the you know, near the cup, and or in, of course, like we always want to do. But he was having worse trouble than I was, and I was trying to close my club and do a chip and run because it was so hard. You know, just kind of get that to go forward. I probably should have changed the club I was using and went more to a 7-iron, but you think of that afterwards, of course, and, you know, do a chip and run from that way, or maybe even a 5, just to get it up onto the green and roll into place, into position. Would have been probably a smarter thing to do with that kind of fairway. So anyway, so from there, so this is my club, and what I did from this thing, now my driver was you know, the big King F9, which is already, you know, out of date, of course, because they change them every year. But of course, now let me tell you a little secret, because I read this article not too long ago about getting new drivers every year to improve your distance, your accuracy. You know, get something out of your new driver. You know, is it worth that kind of money? The actual truth was, no, actually, you don't. And don't tell the club manufacturers that. But, you know, somebody like me, for this kind of thing, I could probably upgrade and get something out of it more. What they found is that when they were doing their tests, of course, because they set them up all the same, etc., is that the new technology that went into this year's is just as good as the technology that went into it 5 years. I would put a caveat on that and say, well, what years are you talking about? Because if I'm using a club that was built, you know, let's say around, you know, 2000, and I went up to a 2005, there's probably a big difference, because as technologies changed and we were able to dig more, put that math more into the design and consideration of everything that goes into a club or a driver, and the fact that the cost is, you know, people can afford more club design than they could, you know, years ago. So that was a big change then. So when I'm talking about now, you know, in 2020 as opposed to 2022, is there going to be a big difference? Well, actually, the 5-year-old club from they were doing 2021 and back. So the 5-year-old club performed second to the 2021 club. So that was your driver technology. That's kind of change that took place here. Is there some place in there that's going to be technology is going to find something to make it a little bit different? Probably. I mean, a lot of people say, well, the science is written in it. No, it's not. They'll find something else that will make a difference, and it'll be written in, and voila, I've got a drive now that I can hit 400 yards, and I can't get it 200 yards right now at my age. So anyway, but this did make a big difference. to me. I was so impressed from that change that I did from my older clubs that I bought, you know, at Goodwill. Don't get me wrong, I still go down there and check out clubs to see what's laying around there, because you can still find them. But I also go someplace else now online where I can buy used clubs from last year or the year before and be extremely happy with what I found, and actually take a stroke or two off my game. That still doesn't make me any better of a golfer. That's the reason for this channel, is I'm an ugly golfer. I don't care how you break it down. That's just the way I play. I'm going to screw something up on every single hole, no matter what I do. So, but you know what? I wouldn't change it for the world. Because one of the other things that's important with golf is the fact that it's good exercise. I've been golfing for 40 years. I still had a heart attack. Didn't make a difference from that perspective. But, you know, there's eating and lifestyle that also has an effect on that. Smoking, for example. So there are things that you'd probably want to change to make a difference from that. If you're looking for exercise to make you live longer or something like that, you have to be able to, you know, be physically fit. Let me tell you how I get ready for golf now at my age, so that, you know, I can perform to my peak best out there every single time I play. So when I get up early in the morning to go golfing in an early tee time, because I like to beat the crowd, I'm actually thinking about changing that this year, and maybe just start doing some afternoon golfing, get a little more relaxed about it, because I actually like to do this sort of thing in the morning, because I'm a little more mentally prepared. But anyway, so, which would really hurt my game again, but I might have fun no matter what, because again, what difference does it make? I'm not going to be a scratch golfer. Am I messing up my mic? I apologize if I am. But where was I? Oh yeah, so I get out there in the morning, but this is how I get ready, okay? So I exercise, all right? I do my cardio, I do my weightlifting, you know, build up the shoulders and, you know, work out the arthritis in the shoulders and the elbows and wrists and everything else, back, knees, yep, do all that. So I do that lifting and get ready that way, take a few minutes, drink, eat a little breakfast, and then I stretch for another big portion of that. Yeah, that's right, you heard me, I stretch. I take about another 30 minutes to, well, I take that back. I lied. I don't stretch that long. But I take some minutes to stretch, you know, to get the shoulders loose, the back, you know, I start loosening up. So I just did the weightlifting, you know, get those muscles going, get them moving, work out the, you know, the grinding, because you know, when I start moving first thing in the morning, it's like I'm walking on a, you know, that bubble wrap, you know, with every crunch you know, a joint in my body starts creaking as I'm moving. So once I get all that worked out with the weights, then I stretch, you know, and I do a serious stretch to loosen up and get that way. And then I take an extremely hot shower after all that is done, and so I'm even looser. All the kinks are worked out, and now I'm gonna, you know, loosen up those muscles even more to go out and play, and then, you know, drive 10 minutes down the street and I'm on the golf course. In fact, I don't think it's 10 minutes. It's probably more like 5. But anyway, so I get down there and start whacking and start playing, and it's pretty much the same. If you're wondering, yep, I shoot in the 40s, you know, mid 40s. I still haven't gotten below that. So I'm shooting the number of years I've been playing. Well, 40s, when I say 40, that's for a 9, so I'm shooting in the 80s. Sorry about that. Because the reason I say that is because it's a 3-9 course that I play at, and I'm a member, and I usually play, you know, 3 rounds, 2 rounds. So, you know, I go around the course a little bit, and I'm doing it by 9s. So I apologize for the way I just explained, you know, my 40s. Yeah, you wish it so you could shoot in the 40s, right? 18 holes, 44, 45. Holy cow, why are you not playing on the tour? I don't know, that's for 9 holes, because that's the way I break it down when I play. So anyway, there you have that. So, you know, take a look at your equipment. Don't be afraid to buy something. But again, being an ugly golfer and being the guy that golfs, on weekends and stuff like that, to get away, to get out and, and exercise and stay healthy, that kind of thing, even with the brewskis at the end on the 19th hole. So much for health, right? And then you're hanging on a big old stuff. I hate that, but what are you smoking, that big, ugly, smelly thing? Anyway, so do what you want to do that way, but, if you're looking to be a scratch golfer, you have to play a lot. You have to exercise, and you do have to put into motion those things that, those guys that are pros and everything, and, Clay's out there every other week trying to give you a new video. He's actually pretty good with what he's teaching you with technique and stuff like that. Paige is another one that I actually watch from time to time, but the reason I watch her, not because of her boobs, but because she has some really good ideas, for example, of okay, if you're going to go shoot a practice round and you're practicing, there's some tips that she likes to go through. These are the things that I like to do from time to time too. Is okay, I'm behind somebody that's really slow, and I've gone, okay, I'm not going to get through here in my hour and a half, running through here. So you have to kind of pace yourself a little bit different. So I start shooting 2 balls and start practicing instead of seeing how well I'm going to play. For example, if with the 2-ball shot from the tees, you don't take your best shot, you take your worst shot. Okay, get yourself out of trouble, work out that type of thing. When you finally get up on the green, you don't take your closest putt, you take your longest putt. And if you shoot on the low side or you're short, you have to take a club length or 2 back based on, if you're short and on the low side, then you have to take 2 club lengths back and putt again. So those are practice ways to get better and better, because if you work towards the number of times you shoot to get yourself out of trouble, etc., that would be the way to do that. She has some other tips that I like from time to time. Like, for example, when she plays the 3 par 3s courses, which are kind of fun because you can get out there and you're whacking away, and you're never really pulling out your driver or anything like that. Your big sticks. You're usually playing pretty short. Is to go for it. Don't hold back. Go right for that hole in one. Your objective in playing a par 3 course isn't to take your worst shot or anything like that. Your objective is actually to go for that hole in one, and or get it as close as you can, and and be good that way. So some of the techniques that she uses for teaching and stuff like that, I think can be helpful when you're out there just shooting for fun or shooting a practice round. Are pretty good. So, check out all those guys. Stay in touch with what they're doing, with what you want to do as a player to improve yourself every day. But I did find that, getting the new clubs did help. It really did. This is a Senior Flex shaft, graphite. I did put on a bigger grip on here too, because the hands are a little more arthritis. This little pinky got bad, so I had to actually change the way I hold my clubs to swing them and that type of thing too, because it just hurt too bad to hold that the way I was doing it, which is interesting because I went from overlap to a crossover. And did it help? It didn't hurt. Again, when you're an ugly golfer, your changes aren't going to be massive when you actually make them. They're going to come in little spurts, so here and there. But if you're out there for enjoyment, that's what you want to do. And if you're getting angry while you're playing and you're just frustrated, go do something else. First of all, nobody wants to see that kind of somebody getting pissed off like that on the golf, and I don't want to see it. For heaven's sakes, if you can't handle missing a shot or something like that. And when I say that, I'm not talking about the guy that dug on it. I had a 1-foot putt and I just scooted it by on the corner. What, are you kidding me? I mean, yeah, you can get pissed off at that and throw your well, don't throw anything. I don't like the throwing, but you can get upset and you know, we can hear you. We heard you. But the guy that takes his whole bag and throws them in the drink, you know, in that kind of anger, you know, get off the course. You're going to kill yourself. Then there's no reason for it. So unless you can control your anger, stop. All right. So there you have it. That's all I'm going to do for today. Probably talk about more stuff coming up. Go ahead and subscribe if you want. Oldest golf joke I think I've ever heard in my life was, okay, two guys are out on the course. They're on the corner of the golf course, that little hole there that sits in the corner of the golf courses, and there's, you know, the crossroads that go either way, right there. You know, they're sitting there for a minute or two, and then this funeral procession comes by. And the one golfer takes off his hat, bows his head, you know, reverence as they go by. And the other golfer takes a look at him and sees what he's doing. He takes off his hat and does the same thing. He's watching and going, you know, what are we doing? You know how that works. So they watch him go by, and then after it's gone, the one guy puts his hat back on, and the other golfer says, "Wow, I'm impressed. That was really reverent of you to tip your hat like that." And he said, "Well, kind of had to. I was married to her for 35 years, so yeah." That's a joke. Anyway, there you go. So go ahead, hit that subscribe, and thanks for joining me today. Have a great day.